Your daily escape is brought to you by me, Cassie, with Oddball Escapes. The Sistine Chapel. This is on many people's must-see list when they visit Rome. Of course, it's inside the Vatican, and you can enter the chapel when you take a tour of the Vatican museums. However, you kind of can't show anybody your experience. Absolutely no photography is allowed here. Now, if you Google the Sistine Chapel, you'll see personal photos posted online. Please don't be that person. Respect the rules while you're there. Even if you can sneak a photo, just don't. And for that reason, I don't have any personal photos to share with you from my visit. So I'm going to use photos that I found on the museum's website, as well as the websites that we use to purchase tickets for you. Let's share a few fun facts about the chapel and the artwork that it's famous for. First of all, the chapel is a room. Like its name says, it's a chapel. The site where it's located has been several different chapels over the years, and the various popes have used these chapels for daily worship. Now, the one that you get to see that's standing there today was built in the 1400s. Did you know this is the space where the cardinals gather to elect the next pope? Which by itself is why this space should be so famous. But usually the focus is on, that's right, the ceiling. This is the main focus for visitors, and perhaps why the room is famous. It's painted by Michelangelo, and it took him 4 years to complete the work. At first, he didn't want to do it. He was a sculptor, not a painter. Well, at least that's how he thought of himself. But the Pope wouldn't take no for an answer, and Michelangelo began painting over the design that was already there, which was a blue night sky with golden stars. Now, there are so many details on the ceiling. Let's talk about a few. The ceiling is 133 feet long and 46 feet wide, and it's basically broken down into sections. Here we have the four corner pieces highlighted. The scenes here represent the constant presence of God in the life of his people. Next, you can see the triangular sections along the sides. There are 8 of these. And here you have the space between the triangles. These tell the stories of different prophets and sibyls. And here is the central story. It shows 9 stories from Genesis and is divided into 3 sections, depicting the origin of the universe, of man, and of evil. One of the most famous scenes, which in this photo is just to the right of the middle section, is the creation of Adam. When we look at this, we are drawn to the hands, where the fingers are almost in contact. This is where the breath of life is transmitted, where man was created to the image and likeness of God. Even though this is the most well-known scene, every scene shares a story. And if you'd like, you can dive into learning about these stories before you visit, which would make your visit to the Sistine Chapel just that much more powerful. Did you know that Michelangelo hated painting the ceiling? He even complained about it in a poem that he shared with a friend back in 1509, about a year after he started working on it. He complained that he had grown a goiter from this torture. It did put a lot of physical strain on his body. Can you imagine painting this much detail on a ceiling this large? He constructed a scaffolding platform just under the ceiling, but it's said that he didn't lie down to paint. He painted all of this from a standing position. There were some other artists over the years that worked on different parts of the room, and Michelangelo even came back in 1535 to paint this entire wall behind the altar. This painting is called The Last Judgment, and it stirred up some controversy, as the cardinals and the Pope weren't pleased with Michelangelo's depiction of the scenes. You're determined to visit the Vatican, aren't you? A few things to remember. First, it has to be on a tour with an approved Vatican guide. We strongly recommend purchasing your tickets ahead of time. Also, there's a dress code. No low-cut shirts, no sleeveless shirts, no shorts or mini skirts, no hats, and you cannot enter with a large bag. Also, once you're inside the Sistine Chapel, you may find it difficult to stand and tilt your neck up to look at the ceiling. There are some benches around the perimeter of the room. Find a seat, lean back, and it's much more enjoyable to admire the ceiling from one of these benches while you're visiting the Sistine Chapel.